Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah. Please like and subscribe. And today I am going to be talking about different times that I've been lied to by compulsive liars. I just want to talk about the funny lies that some compulsive liars have told me, because for some reason, compulsive liars attach to me like a fly to honey. I swear I have met more compulsive liars than is natural, or there are just thousands of compulsive liars and nobody knows who they're really interacting with. So I wanted to get started by talking about just some of the liars that I've encountered and some of the funny lies that they've told me. My first big interaction with a compulsive liar was actually a girl I went to high school with. Now, she was the injury compulsive liar. Okay, she would always come in. She had Munchausen syndrome. She would always come in with a cast on her leg or a knee brace or an arm brace or crutches or, just anything to make her look like she had an injury. And this went on for years, and it was always something different. And I had homeroom with her one year, and I swear to God, she came in there saying that she got hit by a car 5 different times. She came in late, all sad looking and pouty, like, I got hit by a car. And, at that point, I think I had already kind of clocked her as a compulsive liar. I don't know if anybody else did. She also used to say that she was allergic to strawberries. Now, my friend actually called her out on this because years later, she posted a story on her Instagram of herself covered in strawberries, where she smeared strawberries on her face or something. And my friend replied and said hey, I thought you were allergic. She called her out. Very proud of my friend for doing that. And her response was just some half-ass oh yeah, I guess I grew out of it. Also, this same girl said she had never had a cookie. She said she had never had a cookie until my friend's birthday party, and my friend laughs and she's like, yeah, I had the M&M cookies from BJ's. That was her first ever cookie, and we were in high school or whatever. There was also a time where she said she had never watched SpongeBob, and I remember kind of bullying her in that moment and just looking at her and being like, you've never watched SpongeBob? And then she turned it around on me and did this pouty face, we didn't really have a lot of money growing up. I didn't have TV, which is okay, yeah, some people don't have TV, whatever. But matched with everything else, never had a cookie, falsely allergic to strawberries, never watched TV, never watched SpongeBob, and there was another horrible lie that she told. She told everyone in the drama club that she had breast cancer, or that the doctor found a lump in her breast, right? We were 16 years old. She told everybody, she made an announcement, the doctor found a lump in my breast. And then she followed the announcement with, don't tell any of the teachers or my mom. And everybody just believed her. Everybody just believed her. Don't tell the teachers or my mom, but the doctor found a lump in my breast and you should all feel bad for me. And I will tell you, I do not feel bad for her. I do not have sympathy for these people. I truly have encountered so many of them that I have lost all sympathy for this. People say, oh, it's a trauma response, blah, blah, blah. But it's okay, great, it's a trauma response. I'll never be friends with these people. You'll never catch me having a true relationship with any of these people. And then there was one lie that she used to tell in particular that was very, very interesting, because she was in my Italian class, and my Italian teacher, I loved my Italian teacher. I have fond thoughts of her, and she really loved this student. This is the thing about compulsive liars. They are always cool people. They're fun and funny and enjoyable to hang out with. And then once you realize they're lying, it shatters everything. There have been so many compulsive liars that I've met that I've actually really liked. And they don't need to lie to make people like them. They're likable. But then you find out they're a liar and you're like, wow, you've just made everything 100 times worse. You know, they think they're doing the opposite. They think they're impressing you and making themselves look better when really they're making themselves look horrible. But there was one time, she used to be in one of my classes, and she used to talk to my Italian teacher about the fact that she worked at this deli before school. Mind you, my high school, our first period started at 7:27 a.m. She would claim that she would go to a shift at this deli at 3 a.m. and work until 7 a.m. and come to school. And I'm sorry, like, that just wasn't happening. I'm not saying that people don't have those shifts. I'm not saying that that doesn't happen. But I'm telling you now, this girl was a liar, and that was not happening, okay? And she would talk about this. And towards the end of the year, I could tell that my Italian teacher was suspicious of this. And she challenged her. And I just remember her going off and asking all these questions like, what do you do there? What time do you get up? What time does your shift end? Why do you work that early? Asking all of these like probing questions. And in my mind, I'm just cheering her on. I'm like, yes, she sees it. She sees through this. You know, she really loved that student. And she believed her for a long time. Like, I really got the sense that like she was believed by almost everybody. And that my teacher really liked her until that moment where I saw that my teacher was poking holes in it. And I wasn't crazy. I wasn't the only one who was like, this girl is lying. And that always stuck with me because you don't normally see teachers, you know, especially when they have a favorite, you don't normally see them turn their back on their favorites. So that was an interesting moment. While that was one of my first compulsive liars, that was not my last compulsive liar. Lord, I wish it was. The next compulsive liar I'm going to talk about is actually a guy that I used to kind of be into, kind of dated a little bit. I dated him, we just dated a tiny bit when I was in like 9th grade. And then we reconnected 4 years later when I was in 12th grade. And we started hanging out again, but it was platonic. I wasn't interested in him anymore, but I still was happy to be his friend. Such a compulsive liar. He was the money compulsive liar, okay? He was the liar who lies about how much money he has. Oh, I work this job and I make $100,000 a year, but I'm still in high school, but I make $100,000 a year at this job, and my mom is the president of this school, and she makes $500,000 a year. And if they were making $500,000 a year, surely they would have moved house. He loved lying about how much money he had and like notoriety. That was another thing. He would be like, in 2009, I had a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, but I forgot the password. I had a YouTube channel with 1 million subscribers, but I forgot the password. Oh, and the username, so you can't watch the video. We can't find them. You'll never watch the videos. Mind you, in 2009, we were like 11. And 2009 was not a time where 11-year-olds were making million subscriber channels on YouTube. He also would talk about being the best at these certain video games and how he's like a world champion. And he tweeted once that he had never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And that was like a running joke between me and my friends all the time. Like, you know, oh, I've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I brought that up to somebody once and they were like, oh, that could be true. You know, you never know. Like, people could have not ever had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. But when you put that up against all of these other lies, the man has had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, just like that girl has had a cookie, okay? This is all fabricated. I don't know why it's fabricated, but it is. And I actually got together with my ex-boyfriend because him and I talked about, hey, you think this guy is a liar? And we were like, yes, he's a liar. And then we started gossiping about this kid being a liar, and then we were together for 7 years. So I guess lying really does bring people together. So I started a job at the movie theater right after high school, and I met this girl, and we became very good friends very quickly. This is another thing. These compulsive liars, they are likable. You will get attached to them. You will like them. You will believe them until you don't. This girl, I very quickly realized that she was a compulsive liar. She would talk about, oh, I grew up in California, but then I went to this school, this elementary school. Every elementary, like if we were driving somewhere together, every single elementary school that we passed by, she went there. Oh, I went there. I went there for a year. Oh, I went to that elementary school. Oh no, I lived in California and I went to elementary school in California. And there just started to become so many holes in where exactly she went to elementary school. And I understand people move around, people are army brats. There are people who have been to a lot of schools. But then it just became more obvious that she was a liar. She used to say that she could speak Russian. This is a funny one. She used to say that she could speak Russian. And I didn't really believe her at that point. At that point, I had already decided that she was a liar. But we got a new employee. We got a new employee at the movie theater. And he could speak Russian. And when I told him, oh, my friend, this other coworker, she can speak Russian, he got very excited. And he was like, somebody to speak Russian with. So he goes into the back, whatever, and he Strasvoicha, he tries talking to her in Russian or whatever. And all I see, I'm on the other side of the door. All I see is her angrily walking out and slamming the door shut. I only speak Russian with my one friend. Conveniently, could not speak Russian with a person in the room with her. She only speaks Russian with her one friend. AKA, she doesn't speak Russian. That was always a really funny story to me. And again, I made other friends by bonding with them over the fact that she was a liar because I was close to her. I liked her. I spent a lot of time with her. And then I said to one of my other coworkers, do you think she's a liar? And he was like, oh my gosh, yes. And then I basically cut her off and stopped talking to her. And I don't have any regrets about it. Like, I don't have regrets about having no relationship with these people. I'm there exposing myself to them, being vulnerable with them, spending all of my time with them, sharing my stories with them. And here they are just feeding me bullshit. And I'm supposed to have a relationship with them. I'm supposed to be close to them. I'm supposed to be their friend when there's no real relationship. The relationship is completely one-sided because they're a fake person. That was another thing. She used to say that her dad was dead. But then, that he died in a motorcycle accident or something. But then sometimes she would say that he wasn't dead. Yeah, that was a confusing one. I never really got super into that lie about hers. At that point, we only spent a few months together before I realized that she was a liar. This one is perhaps my favorite compulsive liar story. This is the story of the compulsive lying twins. I had two friends, one of them who actually worked at the movie theater with me, and they were both compulsive liars, and they were intertwined compulsive liars, as in they would lie and bounce off of each other. Not only were they both liars, but they were in it together. They were conniving little snakes in it together. And again, they were so likable. They were so funny and fun. I loved spending time with them. I loved being around them. They were awesome. But then very slowly, I started to realize that they were compulsive liars. I just would get little hints here and there that they were compulsive liars. But then I sealed the deal and I stopped being friends with them on one particular day. I was having a party at my house. I think it was a Halloween party. There was a mutual friend. And me and this other guy, this random guy named Ian, was having a party, right, on the same day as my party. So I had a couple of friends who were like, we're going to come to your party for half the night, and then we're going to go stop by Ian's party for half the night, right? And I was like, sure, no problem. Great, right? I was totally fine with it. I wasn't friends with Ian, so I wasn't invited to the party. And I think the way the dates worked out, I couldn't change the date of my party. We had to have our parties on the same day. So I knew that some of my friends would be leaving the party early to go to Ian's party. Well, the compulsive lying twins came to my party. And I was so happy to see them, but again, I had already had some hints that they were compulsive liars. So one of them, in the middle of the party, one of them rushes up to me and says, "Oh, I have to go home right now. Like, my mom is sick. I'm so sorry. We have to leave." And I was like, "Okay, no problem. Like, thanks for coming." Then I walk outside and the other twin comes into my face and he's like, "I'm so sorry, Sarah. We have to leave. We have to go home and feed the dog." So right there's a discrepancy, right? One says, "I have to go home right now. My mom is sick." The other one says, "I have to go home right now and feed the dog." And at that point, I was just like, "Okay, bye. Just go." You know, I didn't care. I was like, I'm after tonight, I'm cutting you guys off, right? Because you're clearly liars. So they leave. And then a couple of my other friends decide, "Hey, we're going to go party hopping. We're going to go over to Ian's party real quick. Thanks for having us." I'm like, "No problem. No problem, guys. Have fun at the party." My friends get there, and guess who's there? The compulsive lying twins. I don't know why they couldn't just say, "Hey, we're going to go stop at this other party. Sorry. See you another time." They had to make up a story about their mom being sick. They had to make up a story about feeding the dog just to go to another party where they were going to be very, very quickly caught in the act. And I wasn't there, but this is what I hear. They very, very quickly, one of them made a beeline to my friends and were automatically like, "I'm so sorry, I would never want to hurt Sarah." I was just like totally caught up in their words, embarrassed, caught, just completely fumbled. I love that story. I love the fact that it was a twin setup. This next one is kind of boring, but I don't know what it is about working in the certain industries that I work in. There are just so many compulsive liars. I've worked in food service, customer service, retail, things like that. And there's a new compulsive liar every day. One is, you know, they're not always as interesting as each other, but there's always a compulsive liar around the corner. So I was working at this restaurant in Colorado, actually, and we got a new bartender. Instantly, I mean, at this point, I had met so many compulsive liars. I had been thinking about it. I had been talking about it. And instantly, I smelled compulsive liar on this guy. Like, I was proud of myself. I was like, I've known this man for 1 hour, and I know that he's a compulsive liar. And I was proven right very quickly because, you know, I was introducing myself. I was like, "Oh, hey, like, what's good? Like, where are you from?" And he tells me that he's from New Mexico. I'm like, "Okay, whatever." And then he asks me and my boyfriend at the time, we were all working together, and he asks us for a ride home. And on the ride home, he starts saying that he's from Ontario. And I was like, "Well, you just told me you were from New Mexico." And he's like, "No, well, I lived in Ontario for a little bit," or whatever. And he's tripping up on his words already. And I said to him, I called him out in the car and I said, "You are not from Ontario. You are not from Ontario." I doubled down. I looked him in the face and I said, "You are not from Canada. You don't sound Canadian. You've already told me that you're from New Mexico. I can tell. I can smell it." And he admitted it. And he was like, "You're right. I'm not from Canada. I just like messing with people." This bothers me so much. It got even weirder because we had another coworker who was like, we hung out with him a couple times and he was like, "Oh yeah, like that new bartender, like he's from Canada." And we were like, "Bro, you've been bamboozled. He's not from Canada. He's from New Mexico, or maybe, we don't know, but he's not from Canada." He admitted to us that he wasn't from Canada. And this other coworker was like, "Are you kidding me?" He felt so embarrassed and slighted. He was like, "He sat there and talked to me about Canada for an hour." He talked to me about Canada for an hour, talking about different national parks in Canada and where he's been in Canada, where he's from in Canada. He sat there and he talked to me about Canada for an hour and told me that he was from Canada. And like, that's when it becomes more than just messing with people. That's like weird. That is so horrible you're never going to build friendships like that. You're never going to have real relationships like that. Nobody is ever going to like you when you do shit like that. And I will call you out, and I will tell other people when I've called you out. There was another lie that he told that was like, he said, I live with my brother and my mom lives in the house next door to us. But then like my boyfriend and I were talking about it, and he was like, oh no. My boyfriend was like, oh no, he told me that he lives with his mom and his brother. My boyfriend and I are going back and forth with each other in the car. Like, well, how did he say it? What did he say to you? What exactly did he say to you? Did he say that he lived with his brother? Did he say that he lived with his mom? How did he word it? Did he say they were in the same house? You know, like we're dissecting the whole thing. We're thinking about it. We're talking about it. And finally, my boyfriend just blurts out, he said it like a compulsive liar. And that's when it clicked. You know, he was like, he said it like a compulsive liar. We would not be having this discussion if he were telling the truth. We wouldn't be going through dissecting exactly what he said if he was not a compulsive liar. We wouldn't be questioning if he was a compulsive liar if he wasn't a compulsive liar. That's when it really struck me that like, when it comes to compulsive liars, I have a very good radar. And I always trust myself when somebody is lying. It's just so easy to tell. It's just so obvious. And this last one is just kind of sad. I worked at another restaurant in Colorado, again with my boyfriend, same boyfriend at the time. At this point, we were very seasoned in compulsive liars. We were talking about it a lot. We worked with this guy who was just off the wall. He was just crazy. He was a riot. He was funny and crazy and probably on uppers of some kind. And he was a liar. He was like, oh, I can play the piano. And we actually went to his apartment, and he was playing the piano for us, but it was like, I mean, he was slamming on the keys, not playing anything. He was going down the keyboard like this. Like, it was so laughable. And then we got another coworker named Mary. His name was Doug. Her name was Mary, as far as I know. We're talking to them, and they start bouncing off of each other, saying like, oh yeah, like, I lie to people all the time. They were just freely admitting this. They were like, yeah, I just lie to people all the time. Sometimes I tell people that I'm like an exchange student from Sweden. Like, they'll never know. It's just funny. Like, I just like messing with people. And then the guy, Doug, was like, oh yeah, all the time. I haven't introduced myself by a real name in 5 years. And they're just laughing about it. And they're like, yeah, I just like messing with people. Nobody's ever gonna know that I'm not really an exchange student from Sweden. Lord, when I tell you that this made me so mad that I like lost all faith in humanity at this point, I'm not exaggerating. And then some honorable mentions. These are just some things that like other people have told me that they've heard from compulsive liars, because one of my favorite icebreaker questions to ask people is like, tell me a lie. Tell me a lie that a compulsive liar has told you, right? Because it's funny. My friend said that he knew somebody who said that his first word was lawnmower. That was always a funny one to me. He said, I knew a compulsive liar, and he told me that his first word was lawnmower. And that was just always like a really funny one to me. And stupid, and it's just like, how do these compulsive liars think of this stuff? But it's great entertainment. And this is the craziest one. This one, my ex-boyfriend said that there was this compulsive liar in his grade who would just tell the craziest lies. But this was the craziest one. He supposedly this random kid, and they were into skateboarding. That's important. He supposedly went to Los Angeles on vacation, went skydiving under 18. Okay, well, let's count the lies. Went to LA. Probably not true. Went skydiving under 18. Definitely not true. When he went skydiving, he landed in the backyard of a famous skater. I don't know who the skater was, but the way they tell the story, like, you know, the skaters knew who this guy was, right? And skated with him. How do you not become so embarrassed that, like, I don't know. I don't even know, guys, but I am more excited to hear your stories. Tell me a funny compulsive lie that a compulsive liar has told you? I want to know so badly. What are some funny, outlandish, crazy lies that you have heard from a compulsive liar? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, taking the time out of your day to watch my channel of all channels. I really appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.